Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly Delta fishing report for the week of February 24th, and it's going to be about 99% Delta largemouth bass. But we're going to go through a few things before we get into that. And I want to start off by thanking my buddy Lee. Got to go out to breakfast with Lee the other day, and he gave me a painting that he had painted of this beautiful largemouth bass here on the Delta, and I wanted to just thank Lee. Tell him I've got that framed up and it's on my wall, and I will be enjoying that for a long time to come. I also want to thank the San Joaquin Bassmasters high school fishing club, I guess it is. I think it's about 3 different high schools that group together as the San Joaquin Bassmasters. They invited me to their meeting Tuesday. I got to go down there and meet the guys. I enjoyed meeting you guys. I'm wishing you guys well for the 2022 season, and I want to just put a shout out to all you other guys out there that may not be involved in youth fishing, but you know, if you can support it, make sure you guys support the local youth anglers and the groups and the clubs, the high school clubs in your area. Talk to Jeff Suhu. He hasn't been fishing. He's on vacation. He's got fingers all over. His report is it's slow. Fish are in the system. They're ready to go, but they just haven't kicked in yet. The local report from Outdoor Sportsman hasn't been that bad. They said the guys that are fishing cut bait off of the bank locally, which I suspect is 8 Mile Road and around town here, they're catching legal stripers. Not fast, but they're going out and they're putting in their time catching a few fish. I know there's been some fish reported around the houseboats at Paradise Point. The guys fishing off the houseboats have caught a few legal stripers, and the local guys that I know that are going out all the time, they're catching fish. It's just slow. I did talk to Jeff, and as I said, he's on vacation. He's gonna be back, and as soon as he gets back, I think it was next week sometime, he's gonna really be putting in the time finding the fish and starting to guide out here again. So he'll give us some more up-to-date information starting hopefully next week or the week after. His pick of the week was Clear Lake crappie. He went up there with a couple of friends, did real well. So it's got to be pretty darn good for a striper guy to say pack up from the Delta and head up to Clear Lake and catch some stripers. But that's Jeff's pick of the week. Let's move into Alan Fong's pick of the week. And I talked to Alan. He had a little setback, had a motor problem, and his boat's in the shop, so he has not been out this week. But his pick of the week is Oroville, and that is for spotted bass. He's been up to Berryessa quite a bit. That bite has dropped off, but again, Alan's got, he's got information from all over Northern California, and he says if you're going anywhere right now and you want to catch spotted bass, head up to Oroville. They're not talking about it, but there is a bite up there. So if you need to get more information, you might call Fisherman's Warehouse and talk to Alan, but that's Alan's pick of the week. Last week we had, the report was actually pretty good, but you remember we had about 10 or 12 days of very steady, stable barometer, 70-degree plus weather. The water temperatures were rising and everyone was happy. We were all catching fish. It wasn't in high gear, but the bite was beginning to show up. Last Saturday or Sunday, I don't know which one it was, the ABA had their tournament out here, and they had a pretty darn good tournament. And I talked to Rob from out at the Bass Hole. Rob and his brother fished that tournament, and I think they were 5th or 6th, I forget what it was, but Rob was reported to me that the top guys were a little over 20 pounds. A lot of 16, 17, 18, 20 pound bags came in. At 5th or 6th place where Rob was, they had, him and his brother, I think, had right around 15 pounds. He caught all of his fish on Bobby D's spinner baits and blades. So that's a little different than what the reports that I've been getting, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. So up until last Sunday, fishing was pretty darn good. The reports that I have gotten from Sunday through Wednesday here, the bite has slowed down a little bit. We had a minor cold front move in. Back on the weekend, the water temperature was starting off in the morning around 51 degrees. Out here today, the water temperature was 48.6 when I got on the water. It's moved up about a degree in about an hour. So it has dropped a couple of degrees. Water clarity is in great shape, 3 to 5 feet, most of the places that I've seen around the Delta. So other than water temperatures dropping and an unstable barometer, and we're going to talk about weather a whole lot here in just a second, the water conditions are fine out here. For most people, the reaction bite has slowed to almost nothing. Still getting a few people saying they're catching a fish now and then on a chatterbait, but most everyone is throwing plastics, slow moving, just dead sticking, and that's been what I've been doing to catch fish out here. And I've had a pretty decent week. We'll talk about that right before we cut out of here and sign off. But what we really need to talk about is what's going to happen starting today, Thursday. There's going to be a frost warning. It's going to get colder than heck for about 3 days, and I believe that that's going to drop the water temperature a little bit. We're going to have an unstable barometer. We're supposed to get a little bit of rain, and we're going to have a little bit of wind. Now, how's that going to affect everything? I talked to Alan Fong, and Alan has been out here 50 years. He knows what these fish do better than anyone probably. He says that he doesn't believe the fish, when they're in pre-spawn, are affected as much by the barometer. So I take it, I'm putting these words in his mouth, fish through it. You should be fine. The fish, may be a little bit affected, but it's not going to kill him. Now, I talked to Rob from the Bass Hole. Rob loves to fish the storms out here. He says if it rains and it blows one day, that's the day you want to be out here because the fish will turn on. Talk to Jeff Suhu, striper guy. His formula for watching the largemouth bass is watch the stripers. When the striper bite picks up, the largemouth bass will be right behind them. All of those guys, to my surprise, are saying fish through this weather, it can be very good. I personally have a little different view. And I will say that minor storm fronts moving in, especially if we get a warm front that moves in and I get rain and wind, I will be out here every day. Cold fronts, a little different. Now that I've heard what Alan and Rob are talking about, if we get a storm front in, I'm going to come out and give it a try. But it's going to be on a short leash for me. If I don't catch fish in a few hours, I will probably, depending on the weather, if it's a cold, nasty front and it's raining, I don't catch fish in a couple hours, I'm probably going to move out here. One thing that I have found in the warmer storm fronts when they come out, the fishing is not good all day. There are very short bite windows, but those bite windows that are compressed into about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, they can be very good, but you have to be able to tough it out through the day to find those windows of opportunity. Keep that in mind. So if you're coming out, my suggestion would be make sure it's safe to come out. Take Alan and Rob's suggestion to fish through the storms. Do what you need to do to come out here. Make sure you got your cold weather gear, your foul weather gear on, and expect short bite windows, but you can get big fish. I think that the key for baits is going to be, if you want to just catch fish, throw plastics, worms, creature baits, get them on the bottom and fish them dead stick and very slow. If you are looking just for big fish, I would say punching. There's a lot of guys still saying that they're catching fish punching, and they're probably getting a better quality of fish. If you are a power fisherman, you can do like Rob's doing and put on a spinner bait and a chatterbait, maybe a crankbait, and burn the bank and move through your areas, and you're probably going to get bit. But for the average guy coming out on the weekend, make sure if you're just trying to catch fish, slow down, dead stick it, drop shot have been catching fish, weightless worms. Next week I will be uploading a video on Tuesday, and it will be documenting what I've been doing the last week or so. And I have really increased my numbers by doing a little modification that I do on plastics, and I'm going to give up that tip on next Tuesday's video. And for me, the last I'll say 10 days, that one little modification has made the difference for me in about 80% of the fish that I've caught. So make sure you check that out. Okay guys, let's look at the weather. We'll see what happens. Make sure if you get out, whether you catch fish or not, you send me the report and let me know what's going on with that. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And heck, that's it. We just have to see. It's going to be weather dependent. Let's see what happens. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys at the report next week. If not, I'll see you guys on the water.